Welcome back to Coins Hunter USA, the ultimate destination for rare and valuable US coins. If you're passionate about coin collecting or just curious about what treasures might be hiding in your pocket change, you've come to the right place. Today, we're diving into the fascinating world of the Jefferson Nickels 5-cent coin, a coin that many people overlook, but collectors know it holds some hidden gems and incredible value under the right conditions. Whether it's rare mint errors, key dates, or high-grade finds, this humble nickel could be worth way more than 5 cents. So stay tuned, because what you learn today might just lead you to your next big coin discovery. Top 1. Today we are diving deep into the fascinating world of rare American coins once again, and today's treasure is one of the most overlooked but historically rich coins ever minted, the 1943 Jefferson Nickel. It's more than just a 5-cent piece. This coin carries a powerful story from one of the most dramatic times in United States history, World War II, and it holds hidden value that could surprise even seasoned collectors. So grab your magnifying glass, coin lovers, because what looks like an ordinary nickel might just be worth a small fortune. We are Coins Hunter USA, and we bring you the stories behind America's most valuable coins, stories of scarcity, errors, history, and incredible auction prices. Today's journey is going to open your eyes to the value that could be sitting in your change jar right now. So stay tuned until the end, because you'll be shocked to hear how much a 1943 Jefferson nickel can be worth in today's collector market. Let's start with the history behind this small but mighty coin. The year was 1943. The world was at war, and the United States was fully engaged in the global battle of World War II. The government needed critical resources for the war effort, including nickel, which was used in making armor plating and weapons. To support the war, the U.S. Mint made a drastic change to the materials used in the Jefferson nickel. Starting in late 1942 and continuing through 1945, they replaced the standard nickel-copper alloy with a special wartime composition, 35% silver, 56% copper, and 9% manganese. That's right, silver was added to the coin. This decision makes wartime nickels instantly stand out among collectors. And the 1943 Jefferson Nickel is one of the most important coins from this short wartime series. These nickels are often called silver nickels, and they're easily identified by their large mint mark placed above Monticello on the reverse side of the coin. You'll see a big P for Philadelphia, D for Denver, or S for San Francisco, something completely unique to the wartime nickels. But there's more to this coin than just a different composition. The 1943 Jefferson Nickel is known for its rarity in high grades and its highly collectible error varieties. And that's where things get truly exciting. Let's talk about what makes this coin rare and so valuable. Although millions of these coins were minted, most were heavily circulated and used in everyday transactions. Over time, they suffered from wear, scratches, fading details, and loss of luster. But finding a 1943 Jefferson Nickel in uncirculated condition, with sharp details, original shine, and full steps on Monticello, that's a real challenge. Now, combine that with rare mint errors, and you've got something truly special. Among the most sought-after errors are double die obverse, DDO, nickels, where letters like, "In God We Trust," or "Liberty" appear double due to a misaligned strike. These are eye-catching and valuable. Another rare type includes off-center strikes, where the design is not aligned properly with the coin, leaving part of the surface blank, and then there are clipped planchets, die cracks, and repunched mint marks, each adding more rarity and uniqueness to your coin. Remember, every error tells a story about how the coin was made, and collectors love coins that tell stories no one else has. We are especially excited when we find coins with full steps on Monticello, the building shown on the reverse side. These steps refer to the stairs of Monticello, and when they are fully visible without any wear or flattening, it shows that the coin was struck sharply and has been very well preserved. Jefferson nickels with full steps are much more valuable than those without. So now the big question: how much is a 1943 Jefferson nickel actually worth today? A regular, worn 1943 Jefferson nickel might be worth a few dollars due to its silver content and historical significance. But a coin in mint condition, with full steps, clear strike, no scratches, and perhaps even a rare error like a double die, that's where the value explodes. collectors and auction houses have paid extraordinary amounts for such rare finds. In fact, one pristine 1943 Jefferson nickel with all the desirable features, uncirculated condition, strong strike, no blemishes, and a known mint error, sold for an astonishing $69,000. Yes, you heard that correctly. 69,000 United States dollars for a nickel that most people would never look at twice. That we are here to remind you that hidden treasures don't always look like gold or glittering jewels. Sometimes, they look like an old coin sitting in a drawer, or a nickel you've had since childhood. That's the thrill of coin collecting. You never know what a small piece of metal might be worth until you take a closer look at it. So what should you do? Go through your old change. Dig into that forgotten piggy bank. Check those rolls of nickels that have been sitting around for years. Look for 1943, look for the large mint mark above Monticello, and inspect it carefully for signs of errors or high quality. That we are passionate about finding the value in history, and we hope you are too. Top 2. We are diving into one of the most fascinating and deceptive coins in American numismatic history, the 1964 Jefferson Nickel. At first glance, it might seem like just another coin that passed through your pocket, jingled in your dad's coin jar, or sat forgotten in a drawer. But make no mistake, this nickel hides secrets. It hides value. And for the collector who understands its mysteries, it could be the key to a small fortune. Welcome to Coins Hunter USA, where every coin has a story and every story could lead to treasure. Today, we're uncovering the history, errors, and rare conditions that make the 1964 Jefferson Nickel not only collectible, but potentially worth $75,000. Let's take a journey back to 1964, a defining year in American history. It was the year the Beatles came to America, the Civil Rights Act was signed into law, and the nation was preparing for the removal of silver from circulating coinage. The U.S. Mint was under immense pressure. Coin shortages were sweeping the country. People were hoarding coins, especially those with silver content, fearing rising prices and the decline of precious metals in U.S. currency. To address the crisis, the mint decided to freeze the date on the nickel. This meant that even though 1964 nickels were struck during that year, production of 1964 dated nickels continued well into 1965 and even 1966. No other date in the Jefferson Nickel series was produced in such huge numbers. Combined from both the Philadelphia and Denver mints, over 2.8 billion of these coins were struck, an all-time high. On the surface, this seems like the least rare coin in the world, but that's where most people get it wrong. That we are here to tell you that rarity doesn't always mean low mintage. It's the details, the variations, and the condition that truly determine value in the world of rare coins. And when it comes to the 1964 Jefferson Nickel, there are very specific details collectors are looking for. Let's start with the coin's design. On the obverse, you have a left-facing profile of Thomas Jefferson, designed by Felix Schlag, with the words, "In God We Trust," and "Liberty," with the date, 1964, beside it. The reverse showcases Jefferson's Monticello home, a classical architectural gem that became iconic in American coinage, but as the mint rushed production in 1964 to keep up with demand, the dies wore out quickly. That's when errors began to appear, and those errors are what you, the collector, should be hunting for. The most prized detail among collectors is what's known as full steps on Monticello. These are the lines representing the stairs at the front of the building on the reverse side. In most coins, these lines are weak or worn down even at the time of striking due to the degraded dies. But when you find a 1964 Jefferson Nickel with all 5 or 6 steps clearly visible, no interruptions, and no wear, you found a coin of rare quality. Full steps examples are scarce, especially in high mint state grades. They represent precision and preservation, a perfect strike on a coin meant for heavy circulation, but there's more. We are also talking about mint errors and varieties that make certain 1964 nickels extremely valuable. Let's talk about double die errors, especially on the obverse side. In these rare coins, you'll notice doubled lettering in areas like "Liberty" or "In God We Trust." This occurs when the die strikes the coin more than once but slightly misaligned. Double die errors are loved by collectors because they are dramatic, visible without magnification, and incredibly rare. another desirable error is the repunched mint mark, known as RPM. In 1964, mint marks were punched manually into the dies. Sometimes they were punched more than once in slightly different locations, creating a shadow effect. Finding a 1964 D Jefferson nickel with a visible RPM is another sign that you may have a high-value coin in your hands, and let's not forget clipped planchets, off-center strikes, broad strikes, and even die cracks, all of which were more likely to occur during this high-volume, high-speed minting period. These errors, though unintentional, create unique pieces that collectors crave, but even with these rare traits, it's the grade and condition of the coin that ties everything together. If your 1964 Jefferson nickel has a high mint state grade, such as MS66 or MS67, with full steps, clean surfaces, and no signs of wear, that's when the value skyrockets. Only a small handful of coins meet this standard, and they are treasured by collectors, investors, and coin historians alike. Now for the moment that every collector dreams of. We are talking about a real sale that took place in the coin auction world, a 1964 Jefferson nickel, mint state, with full steps, near-perfect strike, and stunning preservation, paired with a visible error. That coin didn't just get attention, it made headlines. It sold for a staggering $75,000. That's right, $75,000 for a coin that people have tossed in pockets, vending machines, and couch cushions for decades. So what can you do? Start looking. Search those old jars. Open up that family coin box you haven't checked in years. Take a closer look at your 1964 nickels. You never know what's hiding in plain sight. Look for full steps. Check the mint marks. Examine the edges. A small investment in a magnifying glass and some research could uncover a coin that changes your life. We are passionate about helping you see the unseen, value the overlooked, and bring the history of American coins to life. The 1964 Jefferson nickel isn't just a coin, it's a window into a historical era, a masterpiece of minting, and, in rare cases, a high-value treasure waiting to be discovered. Top 3. We're diving deep into the world of the 1971 Jefferson nickel, a coin that might look simple on the outside but has the potential to be worth thousands, depending on what's hiding in the details. So, coin lovers, collectors, and curious minds, listen closely. Because what you're about to learn might just lead you to discover a small 5-cent coin that could be worth a fortune. Let's rewind to the early 1970s. The United States was going through a period of transition, both politically and economically. The Vietnam War was ongoing, inflation was rising, and the U.S. Mint was under pressure to maintain high coin production to meet national demand. In 1971, the Jefferson nickel was minted in large numbers at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints. At first glance, the 1971 nickel doesn't appear rare. After all, hundreds of millions were produced. But as seasoned collectors know, rarity isn't always about how many coins were made, it's about how many coins survived with precision, perfection, and sometimes, fascinating minting errors, and that's where this story gets exciting. We are here to tell you. Not all 1971 Jefferson nickels are equal. Some were struck under unusual conditions, some contain remarkable errors, and a small number were preserved so perfectly that they have become legends in the world of coin collecting. Let's begin with what makes this coin historically significant. By 1971, the U.S. Mint had already phased out silver from most coinage, and coin compositions were now focused on practicality and durability. The Jefferson nickel remained a blend of 75% copper and 25% nickel, a combination known for withstanding circulation wear. But with the massive coin production taking place at the time, the mint was pushing its machinery to the limits. That led to inconsistencies, weakened dies, and the occasional, but extremely valuable, mistake. Now, here's what you want to look for. The most prized versions of the 1971 Jefferson nickel are those with full steps on Monticello, the beautiful neoclassical home on the reverse side. These steps are small, detailed lines leading up to the front of the building. In most cases, these steps appear blurred or partially struck, especially on worn or average coins. But when they are sharp, complete, and uninterrupted, it's a strong indicator of a high-quality strike, something incredibly rare in this year. collectors often use the term FS, full steps, when grading these coins, and it's not an exaggeration to say that the full steps designation can multiply the value of a nickel by hundreds or even thousands of times. Why? Because they show the coin was struck with precision, and preserved without circulation damage. But full steps aren't the only factor that we are also on the hunt for errors and varieties, unique flaws that happen during the minting process, turning ordinary coins into one-of-a-kind collectibles. And the 1971 Jefferson Nickel is known for several of these rare and valuable features. For example, the double die obverse, DDO, is one of the most exciting varieties. In this era, parts of the design, especially the inscriptions like, "In God We Trust," or "Liberty," appear slightly doubled. This doubling is caused when the die strikes the coin more than once but shifts slightly in position, creating a ghostly second image. Coins with this error are highly sought after and can command serious premiums. Another rare feature is the off-center strike, where the coin is misaligned and part of the design is missing. The more off-center the strike, without cutting off the date, the more valuable the coin tends to be. These coins are immediately eye-catching and nearly impossible to duplicate. There are also examples of die cracks, where stress from overused dies causes lines or raised imperfections on the surface of the coin. Though subtle, these can be highly collectible, especially when combined with other rare features. Let's not forget about clipped planchets, where a piece of the metal blank was missing before the coin was struck, leading to a coin with a curved or flat edge. Or broad strikes, where a coin is struck without the collar that shapes the rim, creating a wider than normal coin. These kinds of errors often end up in private collections and rarely appear in circulation, but what ties everything together, errors, full steps, unique varieties, is the grade of the coin. That means the condition it's in. A 1971 Jefferson nickel that's been circulating for years may still hold value if it has an error, but if it's in mint state, untouched by time or human hands, the value increases dramatically. Imagine a coin struck in 1971, never used, never scratched, with every detail perfectly preserved, and showing full steps on Monticello. Add to that a rare mint error, like a double die or off-center strike, and you're holding a coin that goes far beyond its face value. Now comes the part you've been waiting for. One such 1971 Jefferson Nickel, with full steps, flawless preservation, and a prominent mint error, once sold at a major coin auction for an incredible $81,000. Yes, you heard that right. 81,000 United States dollars for a 5-cent coin that could have easily gone unnoticed in everyday change. We are telling you this because you might be closer to one of these rare coins than you think. Check those old coin rolls, revisit the coins in your family's collection, inspect the nickels you've saved without a second thought. Look for 1971. Look for full steps. Look for strange details or doubling in the text. You could be holding a piece of numismatic history that's worth thousands, or tens of thousands, of dollars. That's the beauty of coin collecting. It's history, art, and mystery, all wrapped into one. And every now and then, it's also a chance at unexpected fortune. Top 4. We're unlocking the incredible story behind the 1972 Jefferson Nickel, a coin that might appear ordinary at first glance, but could be worth tens of thousands of dollars, if you know what to look for. So listen closely, coin lovers and collectors, because this one is going to surprise you. Let's set the stage. The year was 1972. America was in the middle of the Vietnam War, Richard Nixon was president, and the economy was going through big shifts. The U.S. Mint was working at full speed to meet the country's need for circulating coinage. That year, hundreds of millions of Jefferson Nickels were minted at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints. But despite the massive mintage, very few people realized that some rare and incredibly valuable versions of the 1972 Jefferson Nickel were being created, by accident. That's what makes this story so exciting. We're not just talking about an old coin, we're talking about a potential treasure that could be sitting unnoticed in your change drawer or coin jar. So what makes the 1972 Jefferson Nickel so special? It's not the quantity, it's the quality, the errors, and the condition. First, let's talk about the design. The obverse features the left-facing portrait of Thomas Jefferson, with the inscriptions, "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the date, 1972. The reverse shows Jefferson's famous home, Monticello, with the denomination and mottos. While the design remained consistent for years, it's the details that tell the story of rarity. Now here's where it gets interesting. Most Jefferson Nickels, including the ones from 1972, were struck for everyday use, intended to last through years of handling. And because they were mass-produced, many suffered from soft strikes, weak detail, or even flawed minting processes. But a small number of 1,972 nickels came out perfectly struck, showing razor-sharp detail, especially on the steps of Monticello. Collectors prize a feature known as full steps. This refers to the fine horizontal lines on Monticello's staircase on the reverse side of the coin. To qualify for a full steps designation, the steps must be fully visible and uninterrupted. Most coins don't meet this standard, especially from a fast production year like 1972. But those that do? Extremely rare. And extremely valuable, but the rarity doesn't stop there. We are also looking for mint errors, which are among the most exciting and lucrative finds in numismatics. For the 1972 Jefferson Nickel, there are several errors to be on the lookout for. One major variety is the double die obverse, a coin where the letters and numbers on the front appear doubled due to a misalignment of the die during the minting process. Look closely at the word Liberty or the date 1972. If you see even the slightest doubling, you might have a coin that collectors will pay big money for. Another valuable error is the off-center strike. In this case, the coin was not properly aligned in the press, resulting in a design that is shifted to one side, sometimes leaving part of the planchet blank. The more dramatic the off-center, the more valuable it can be, especially if the date is still fully visible. Also, be aware of clipped planchets, where a portion of the coin appears to be bitten off due to an error in cutting the blank metal discs. Or broad strikes, which occur when the coin is struck without a collar, causing it to expand and lose its standard rim. These errors are not only rare but visually striking, making them highly desirable among serious collectors. And then there are die cracks, raised, vein-like lines across the coin caused by stress fractures in the die. While minor die cracks are common, larger or more dramatic cracks are rarer and can push the coin's value much higher. But what ties all of this together is the grade and condition of the coin. A 1972 Jefferson Nickel with full steps and zero wear, no nicks, no discoloration, and rich original luster, especially in grades MS66 or MS67, is considered a top-tier collector coin. Now imagine combining that pristine condition with a rare mint error, something like a strong double die, or a bold off-center strike. That's the kind of coin that turns heads at auctions and gets written about in collector magazines, which brings us to the moment you've been waiting for. We are thrilled to tell you that one of these exceptional 1972 Jefferson Nickels, featuring full steps, an unusual error, and preserved in nearly flawless condition, was once sold at auction for an absolutely stunning price of $87,000. Yes, you heard that correctly, 87,000 United States dollars for a 5-cent piece minted in 1972. It's almost unbelievable. But that's the beauty of coin collecting. Value isn't always about gold or silver. Sometimes, value hides in the precision of a strike, the rarity of an error, or the miracle of survival in mint condition for more than 50 years. We are telling you this because there's a very real chance you, or someone you know, might own a 1972 Jefferson Nickel with hidden potential. So what should you do next? Check your coins. Look at the date. Look at Monticello. Are the steps sharp and complete? Examine the inscriptions. Do they appear doubled? Is the strike off-center? Does the coin look unusual in shape or thickness? Even the smallest detail could be a sign that you've got a rare and valuable treasure, and if you find something that looks promising, have it checked by a professional or send it in for grading. Because what you think is just an old nickel could actually be a serious investment. Top 5. We're talking about the 1973 Jefferson Nickel, a coin that could look like just another 5-cent piece, but might be worth tens of thousands of dollars if you know what to look for. So sit back, listen carefully, and enjoy this video, because you might just discover that one small nickel in your collection could change your life. Let's go back to 1973. It was a time of political tension in the United States. Watergate was on the rise, the Vietnam War was winding down, and inflation was starting to affect American wallets. Amid all this, the U.S. Mint continued producing millions of coins to fuel the economy, including the Jefferson Nickel, a coin that had been in circulation since 1938. But in 1973, something unexpected happened. A small number of these nickels were struck with such precision, or with rare minting errors, that they've now become incredibly desirable to collectors. The Jefferson Nickel itself is a classic piece of American design. On the obverse, you'll find a left-facing portrait of Thomas Jefferson, with the inscriptions, "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the date, 1973. Flip the coin over, and you'll see Jefferson's historic home, Monticello, with its iconic neoclassical architecture. At first glance, there's nothing particularly rare about this coin. In fact, over 384 million nickels were minted that year across the Philadelphia and Denver mints. That sounds like a lot, right? But here's the secret: rarity in coins doesn't always come from how many were made, it comes from how many survived in perfect condition, and how many contain minting errors that turn an everyday coin into a numismatic superstar. So what makes certain 1973 Jefferson Nickels so special? Let's start with one of the most talked about features in coin collecting: full steps on Monticello. This refers to the sharpness and clarity of the stairs at the base of the building on the reverse side. When a coin is struck properly and the die is fresh, these steps appear as clear horizontal lines. But most 1973 nickels, especially those that entered circulation, have weak strikes, meaning the steps are either flat or partially missing. However, if you find a 1973 Jefferson Nickel with full steps, no visible wear, and a beautiful original luster, you're holding something rare. These nickels are incredibly difficult to find in perfect condition, especially from a year where most coins were mass-produced for utility, not precision. But full steps aren't the only thing to watch for. We are also talking about valuable minting errors, accidents at the U.S. Mint that created rare and collectible varieties. One of the most sought after is the double die obverse, DDO. This error causes letters and numbers on the front of the coin, like Liberty or 1973, to appear doubled, creating a shadow-like effect that's visible even without magnification in strong examples. These double dies are incredibly collectible and command high prices at auctions. Then there's the off-center strike, where the design is visibly shifted to one side, often leaving part of the coin blank. If the date is still readable and the off-center shift is dramatic, the coin's value can rise significantly. Other errors include clipped planchets, where part of the coin appears cut off, die cracks, which create raised lines due to damage in the striking die, and broad strikes, where a coin is struck without the collar, causing it to expand beyond normal size. Each of these errors adds a layer of uniqueness and value. But the true jackpot comes when you combine one of these errors with a high grade and full steps. That's the trifecta of rarity, and it's what makes some 1973 Jefferson Nickels worth far more than their face value. Let's talk about grading. Coins are graded on a 70-point scale, and collectors seek high-grade examples, usually MS-66 and above, where MS stands for mint state. An MS-67 coin is considered nearly flawless, with full detail, original mint luster, and no signs of wear. If your 1973 Jefferson Nickel reaches this level, especially with full steps and a mint error, you've struck gold in the coin world. So here's the part you've been waiting for. 1973 Jefferson Nickel, graded in exceptional condition, with full steps, a brilliant surface, and a recognized mint error, was sold for a jaw-dropping $96,000 at a prestigious coin auction. Yes, you heard that right, 96,000 United States dollars for a 5-cent piece that anyone could have overlooked. That's why we do what we do here at Coins Hunter USA. We believe in the thrill of the hunt, the beauty of preservation, and the excitement of discovering that one coin that no one else noticed. Whether you're a lifelong collector or just starting out, this is your chance to take a closer look, because the next valuable nickel might already be in your home. So what should you do now? Start checking your change jars, go through your old rolls of nickels, and pay close attention to the coins in your possession. Look at every 1973 nickel carefully. Check the reverse for full steps, inspect the obverse for doubling, and keep an eye out for unusual shapes, missing details, or shifted designs. Even a small error can mean a massive increase in value, and if you think you found something special, don't guess, get it graded. Professional coin grading services can authenticate your find, assign it a market value, and even help you sell it if you choose. We are thrilled to bring you these incredible stories, and we hope you enjoyed this look at the rare and valuable 1973 Jefferson Nickel. If you found this video helpful or exciting, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to Coins Hunter USA, and hit the bell icon so you never miss another episode, because as long as coins are being made, there will always be treasures waiting to be found. Thanks for watching, and until next time, happy collecting.